In 2016, one of the former kids who received training was found alive. The others had all died by 1981 on U.S. soil during what I was told was a general cleanup. But although he had been in prison since he was 17, with a few years out as an escapee, he had survived. He shared some of the details of his training, and I'm going to try to read a little bit of that, so bear with me because it's hard for me to read the writing, so 1 second. My job during the transaction phase was twofold: providing overwatch, direct supporting cover fire from a quote-unquote hide, a concealed position, basically a hole with overhead camouflage, or security from a concealed observation post. Sometimes I just had a ghillie suit on, and in this case, my only responsibility was simply to alert Kat if someone was approaching the transaction area. Kat, and again, if I haven't already said so, Kat is his trainer. The standard procedure was for me to go into the area of exchange 1 or 2 weeks ahead of time. It looks like reconnaissance or something like that, but that doesn't make sense. Note danger areas, avenues of approach, escape routes, possible ambush sites, and observation posts that might be used. Locations for caches of food and water in the event we had to escape on foot. I would plot grid coordinates on a topography map of everything, including rallying points, in case we got separated, and take photographs of the whole area. Kat and I would analyze all of this intel, installed operating procedures, immediate action drills, to counter bad something or other, bad actions or something like that, and profile the individuals we were going to deal with. Kat acquired intel on all potential buyers. If my job was overwatch, I would construct the hide during the initial reconnaissance. Then 3 to 5 days before the transaction date, I would infiltrate surreptitiously back into the area and enter the hide. I always tried to position it so that the exchange spot was only 200 to 300 meters away, never more than 500 meters. My primary role was to eliminate any imminent physical threat to Kat during the exchange of weapons for cash. All of this stealth and preparation was necessary as a countermeasure to being ripped off or possibly killed. Once I entered the hide, I did not leave it for any reason. I slept, ate, and relieved myself from inside. Sometimes, due to the location and type of soil, I could only lie prone. As you can imagine, after 3 days, the situation became very uncomfortable and exhausting. And I mean, he's 14 or 15 years old at this when he's doing this. I used a modified M14 rifle fitted with a Psionics sound suppressor and a 3x9 variable ART scope. I think that's what that says. I was very good using camouflage, reading, and utilizing micro something or other. Looks like micro terrain, but I'm not sure. Moving undetected and was an excellent shot. Sometimes Cat would go down south for a brief period to provide his services, usually training others or setting up a program of instruction for others to implement. He never let me accompany him south. However, I did assist him in a number of occasions in training others in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. These groups were kept small for security reasons, typically no more than 4. He got a kick out of me infiltrating a so-called secured defensive perimeter to show trainers how it could be done. He also liked to use me for reconnaissance in urban areas because a teenager with a transistor radio wasn't seen as a threat or noticed that much. It was easier for me to get closer to someone as well as whereas Cat would draw immediate attention and suspicion. So that's just a portion of a letter that he wrote describing his experience. He's now lived his entire life in a distorted military culture, because prison is a military culture as well, since the age of 14, when he was taught to kill using assault weapons by a man who had been in special forces. He recruited him one night in a park in California. He was just a kid in poverty. He followed the man home, and his training began soon after. He was given large amounts of cash, an apartment, and a girlfriend who was 23. He was told how to think, how to control his emotions, how to endure pain and suffering, and he was only 14. He was given multiple false IDs. When he was 17, he landed in prison after an incident he barely remembered or barely understood. In September 2016, his sentence had been served, but the Department of Homeland Security stepped in unannounced during his final parole hearing and made a statement that resulted in them denying his release forever, and this was illegal. He filed a civil case on his own to object to the illegality of it. They seemed to make a joke of it as an insult. An attorney, or what seemed like an insult, an attorney who had worked defending the Department of Homeland Security offered to be his pro bono attorney, yet he never actually appeared. Next, his mail was returned from the court as if they could not find him. Efforts are being made now to understand his situation more fully.